Jump!
많이 가라 그랬어요 가까이. 에.
Thinking a lot. Thinking a Ano?
Üstün zekası. O ne lan emmi?
Такие машины, как эта, могут бегать вверх.
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass.
Tecnologia. Tecnologia.
Esse moleque não passa nada.
हे प्रभु हे प्रभु हे हरि राम कृष्ण जगन्नाथ प्रेमान
Le dije al del lavadero, no me pongas silicona en las ruedas, se me pega toda la tierra. Mira ahora.
Lucu oraya. Oo birader.
Oh.
And you'll be in a world of ocean viol.
Ali, bu ne biçim iş lan? Şikayet etme. Genç sınıfı yüksek. I've been trying this entire time. It's not my fault, okay?
Nothing beats a jet to holiday.
God.
Я все понимаю. Ну, вот тот человек, который моет машину, в этот дождь, я его... Technologia! Technologia! Yeah, this guy just fucking wiped out. Oh my God.
Este pasito se baila como tú quieres.
mulai mengecat bangunan di ketinggian gedung. Bahkan dengan lincahnya mereka bisa melompat ke sana ke sini.
Midway through the alignment process, Henry notices an unexpected issue. The shadow cast by a nearby structure makes the markers appear slightly missing. Henry tilts his head back, then right, trying to determine whether the markers are truly off or whether the illusion is playing tricks on him. After a minute of contemplation, he decides to adjust them once more, shifting them so slightly that the person beside him will struggle to notice the difference. When he finally steps back and surveys his work, he nods with satisfaction, usually reserved for complex architectural project. One of his co-workers walks by, glances at the markers, and says they look excellent. Henry accepts the compliment as though he just finished constructing an entire building. Not far away, a worker named Nolan is preparing materials for the next stage of the site. Nolan is known for his calm manner and the way he approaches tasks as though every object deserves respect. Today he is stacking a set of boards into a new pile. He picks up each board with care and places it gently onto the stack, aligning the edges perfectly. When he reaches the final board, he taps the corners lightly to ensure the pile is symmetrical. But just as he finishes, a light breeze stirs the air. One corner of the top board lifts slightly, almost playfully. Nolan notices the shift, straightens the board again, and stands still for a moment to see if the breeze will return. It does. The board lifts by the tiniest measure, as though refusing to settle. Nolan smiles, as if accepting that even a board can have its own preferences. After adjusting it once more, he places a small object on top to keep it in place, then walks away with a satisfied nod, acknowledging the simple truce between man and material. The next scene unfolds near a shaded area where two workers, Leonard and Mason, are measuring a section of the site. Leonard stretches the tape measure while Mason marks the spots with chalk. The coordination between them is smooth until Leonard pulls the tape a bit too enthusiastically. The tape snaps back slightly and surprises both of them. Leonard maintains his composure, but his eyebrows raise just enough for Mason to notice the micro-expression of surprise. Mason laughs softly, not in a mocking way, but with the quiet amusement of someone who has experienced the same unexpected recoil many times. Leonard unrolls the tape again, this time with a gentler touch, and both continue working as though nothing happened. Meanwhile, a worker named Elliot is organizing tools on a small table. He arranges them in a row, grouping them by purpose, then adjusts the spacing to create a balanced display. When he finishes, he stands back and observes the arrangement with pride. But as he turns to leave, he accidentally nudges the corner of the table with his knee. The tools shift slightly, as if reacting collectively to the gentle bump. Elliot looks back with mild disbelief, then carefully repositions them once again. He steps away slowly this time, watching the tools out of the corner of his eye to ensure they stay still. Satisfied, he walks off confidently, as though he has just resolved a diplomatic situation between himself and the table. Across the site, the sound of light-hearted conversation begins to rise. Two workers discuss a game they watched last night, each reenacting the moment with exaggerated gestures. Another pair debates the best sandwich in England, speaking of the past culinary experts. A few workers relax for a moment on deck, sharing stories of earlier jobs. Despite what they do, the atmosphere is one of shared camaraderie. Then comes a moment involving a worker named Brandon, who is transporting a small cart filled with harmless materials. The cart has a stable structure, but one of its wheels tends this small victory achieved, he continues his work. As the afternoon stretches into later hours, a soft golden hue begins to overlay the construction site, adding warmth to the environment. Shadows lengthen, and the light flickers gently as it passes through scaffolding, tools, and structures. This natural shift brings out a sense of calm, but the humor continues steadily. One of the next amusing scenes involves a worker named Patrick. He is organizing a bundle of cables, clipping them carefully to avoid tangling. His technique is precise, and the loops form an impressive circle. But then, as he holds the neatly coiled cable, one end slips free and unwinds just enough to disrupt the symmetry. Patrick pauses, examining the slight imperfection as though assessing a puzzle. He slowly recoils the loose section, restores the perfect circle, and then secures it with a bend. He lifts the finished coil with pride, almost expecting a round of applause for his attention to detail. Even though no one sees it, the satisfaction on his face is unmistakable. As I stand narrating these scenes, a gentle sense of appreciation settles over me. The construction site is more than a place where structures rise. It is a stage filled with countless small moments that reflect the humanity, humor, and spirit of the people working there. Every action, every small accident, every improvised solution contributes to a dynamic story that grows richer with each passing hour. And so the day continues, filled with quiet comedy, determined workers, and scenes that narrate themselves through their natural charm. As the late afternoon unfolds, the construction site settles into a steady pace, but the natural stream of amusing moments continues as effortlessly as ever. I shift my attention toward a worker named Marcus, who is methodically organizing a set of small markers in a crate. Marcus is known for being calm and diligent, often moving with the meticulousness of someone sorting their collectibles. Today, however, the crate he is working with seems determined to test his patience in the gentlest way possible. Marcus picks up each marker and places it precisely into one of the divider slots. But as he nears the final row, he realizes that one of the slots is slightly narrower than the rest. He attempts to slide the marker into it, but the marker leans sideways and settles against the edge instead. Marcus tries adjusting his angle. The marker still refuses to sit upright. After several attempts, he squints at the slot, as though expecting it to respond with an explanation. He then taps the crate lightly, as if trying to remind it to cooperate. The crate remains unmoved. Marcus sighs softly, rotates the marker 90 degrees, and tries again. This time, with a gentle push, it fits perfectly. He nods, as though achieving a personal victory, and closes the lid of the crate with an air of triumph. Nearby, the next scene develops with a worker named Damien, who is preparing chalk lines along the temporary wall. He stretches the chalk stream across the house, pulling it taut to perfect form. When he snaps it against the ground, the line marks cleanly with a satisfying precision. Encouraged, Damien moves on to the next section, repeating the process. Everything proceeds flawlessly until a small patch of uneven ground causes him to lose balance for just a moment. The chalk line flicks upward and makes a front sweep across the air, reaching farther than he intended. Damien discerns the unintended flourish, tilts his head, and gives a nod of acceptance. Then, with a newfound determination, he smooths the uneven patch of the machine and continues marking the wall. A co-worker passing by notices the unexpected activity and signals part of the new design. Damien responds by saying that creativity appears when least expected. As the sun dips a little lower, the shadows stretch across the construction site, creating long silhouettes that sway gently with every movement. This shifting scenery adds a poetic tone to even the light-hearted moments, including the warm unfolding next to the worker named Sean. His task involves checking the position of several as if performing an impromptu pose. Sean glances down at the ground, nods knowingly at the solid patch, and moves on with quiet confidence. Not far from Sean, another moment of gentle comedy takes shape. A worker named Trevor is arranging large sheets of protective material. These sheets are flexible and lightweight, yet they behave unpredictably when stacked. Trevor places one sheet on top of another, then adds a third. Everything seems stable, but the moment he lets go of the fourth sheet, the entire stack shifts like a deck of oversized prawns. The sheets lean to one side, then the other, but somehow manage not to fall. Trevor watches this sway with the calmness of someone observing a tree moving in the wind. He gently positions the fourth sheet again, takes a slow step backward, and waits. The sheets remain still this time. Trevor nods, acknowledging the stack as though it has finally decided to cooperate. Across the site, the air is filled with lively conversation as several workers collaborate on a new task. Among them is a man named Riley, who never fails to provide a scene worth narrating. Today, Riley is handling a measuring tool with multiple extendable sections. He extends the first segment smoothly. The second segment follows without issue. But when he reaches the third, it slides out faster than he anticipates, stopping abruptly at full length. The sudden extension startles Riley just enough for him to raise his eyebrows, but he quickly regains his composure. He inspects the fully extended tool with admiration, as if impressed by its enthusiasm, then proceeds to measure the distance with renewed focus. When he collapses the tool afterward, he moves slowly and deliberately, ensuring no unexpected surprises occur again. Further down the walkway, I catch sight of another amusing scene. A worker named Calvin is wrapping a bundle of materials with securing tape. He pulls the tape with a confident motion, expecting a clean wrap. But the tape clings stubbornly to itself, forming a loop that becomes slightly tangled around his fingers. Calvin pauses, examining the tape as though trying to decode its intentions. He carefully straightens the loop, wraps it once more, and then cuts it with a precise motion. Once finished, he steps back and inspects the bundle with the satisfaction of someone who has conquered a tiny yet determined opponent. A co-worker passing by remarks that the tape seems unusually lively to him, and Calvin replies by saying some materials simply enjoy testing a person's patience. The next scene involves a worker named Warren who is transporting a light ladder from one side of the site to the other. The ladder is easy to carry, but its length requires careful handling. As Warren lifts it, he turns to walk through a narrow passageway between two wooden steps. For the first few steps, everything goes smoothly. But then the vertical ladder gently bumps the corner of one of the steps. Warren stops, steps back, and adjusts his weight slightly. He proceeds again and successfully passes through the gently taps the one next to it, causing a gentle chain reaction in the row that shifts each container slightly forward. Hugo watches the movement with mild amusement. Instead of undoing the arrangement completely, he simply realigns each container with a swift, elegant motion. When the sequence is restored, he steps back and folds his arms with a quiet sense of accomplishment. The late afternoon continues with this steady, subtle humor woven through every action. Every worker becomes part of the story, unaware of how each small gesture contributes to a grand tapestry of gentle amusement. The construction site remains not only a place of progress but also a place where laughter, however soft, finds its place in the rhythm of the day. As the late afternoon continues, the construction site evolves into a theater of small, humorous interactions that quietly energize the workers without disrupting their progress. One of the more amusing characters is a man named Liam. Liam has a peculiar habit. He insists on arranging his tools in a specific order every time he begins a task. He believes that a well-organized set of tools enhances productivity, but sometimes his organizational attempts take on a life of their own. Today, Liam is preparing to assemble a temporary rig, and before he even touches a single piece, he spends a good 5 minutes aligning each wrench, hammer, and screwdriver at precisely measured intervals. He steps back, inspects the alignment, adjusts a screwdriver by a mere millimeter, and repeats the process until the arrangement satisfies his exacting standards. By the time he begins the rig, the audience of nearby co-workers has long since started laughing quietly at the exaggerated precision. Liam notices, smiles faintly, and continues as if his meticulous ritual is entirely normal. Meanwhile, across the site, a worker named Nathan attempts to move a stack of lightweight panels. These panels are easy to handle, but Nathan is convinced that each one has a personal preference for how it should be carried. As he lifts the first panel, it wobbles slightly, causing him to adjust his grip. He lifts the second panel and suddenly notices that it seems to lean toward his right shoulder more than the left. Nathan mutters something to himself, crouches slightly, then straightens the panel with a subtle twist. By the time he reaches the final panel, he is almost performing a slow, deliberate dance across the site. Nearby co-workers pause to watch him, some suppressing laughter, others offering exaggerated tips about negotiating with panels. Nathan, aware of their attention, smiles knowingly and continues his intricate choreography until every panel is stacked neatly. Just a few steps away, the painter, Samuel, is preparing his brushes for a routine task. He dips a brush into a tray of harmless paint and begins filling small containers. The first few strokes are smooth and clean, but as Samuel lifts the brush to transfer paint to another container, a faint gust of wind blows, causing the droplet to escape. Samuel notices the droplet, pauses, and raises an eyebrow as if silently questioning the containers. He gently flicks the droplet back into the tray, mutters a joking apology, and resumes his work with renewed focus. The nearby team watches silently for a moment, then quietly chuckles at the theatrical drama of a single paint droplet. Nearby, a small group of workers is collaborating to move a bundle of harmless wires. One worker, Oliver, insists on carrying the bundle with both hands at chest height, convinced that this is the safest way. Another worker, Kevin, believes a more practical way, moving the wires over his shoulder. As they walk side by side toward the storage area, the wires become slightly tangled and break between them, forcing both men to stop and carefully maintain their balance. Their synchronized movements and exaggerated gestures create an almost choreographed scene. When the wires are finally untangled, they exchange a look of triumph and continue, each silently acknowledging that the tangle was a necessary test of patience and dexterity. Meanwhile, Peter's colleague, Jordan, is stacked up crates filled with harmless materials. He attempts to balance one crate on top of another. The stack bubbles slightly, causing Jordan to tilt his head far, as if the crate is jamming against the sun continues its descent, casting long, golden shadows across the site, a particularly amusing moment unfolds involving a worker named Felix. Felix is preparing to transport a small ladder to a different part of the site. The ladder is light and easy to carry, yet its length requires careful navigation. As Felix walks through a narrow corridor between stacked materials, the ladder gently brushes against a stack of boxes. He pauses, adjusts his grip, rotates slightly, and continues. The ladder nudges again. Felix steps back, smiles faintly, and maneuvers it through the space with the patience of someone guiding a careful animal along the delicate path. Once safely on the other side, he places the ladder down gently and gives it a subtle nod, as though acknowledging the ladder's cooperation. A few meters away, another worker named Aaron is assembling small boundary markers. Each marker must be spaced evenly along a defined path. Aaron carefully places the first marker, steps back, and examines it. The second marker follows. As he reaches the midpoint of the path, a soft gust of wind tips the last marker slightly. Aaron pauses, tilts his head, and gently nudges it back into position. He steps back, observing the line critically, and then continues with a calm, deliberate pace. Each placement is measured, thoughtful, and quietly committed, as though Aaron has turned an ordinary task into a delicate performance that blends precision and patience with subtle humor. Even as the day moves toward early evening, the comedy on the site continues. Small accidents, dropped tools, rolling tape measures, leaning boards, occur without consequence and are met with laughter, quick fixes, or exaggerated gestures. The humor is gentle, built on human reactions to ordinary challenges. Workers adapt, improvise, and continue their tasks, all while maintaining the playful rhythm that seems to define the site. The golden light now envelopes every worker and structure, making even minor actions feel almost cinematic. A worker lifting a small crate, another bending to pick up a tool, a colleague adjusting a misplaced marker, all become part of a continuous tableau of subtle comedy and camaraderie. Each scene, while minor in isolation, contributes to the larger narrative of a site where humor is as natural as labor, and every small victory over material or circumstance becomes a moment worth savoring. As early evening approaches, the pace of the construction site does not slow, yet the rhythm of humor shifts subtly. It becomes quieter, more playful, with small incidents eliciting gentle laughter rather than overt reactions. One of the most amusing recurring characters on the site is a worker named Ethan. Ethan is in charge of organizing this latest job involving patience, attention to detail, and occasionally a very steady hand. Today, he faces a stack of lightweight boxes, each labeled carefully. He begins to lift one, placing it on the cart and turns it. The moment he releases it, the box leans slightly forward. Ethan steps back, observes the shape, and then gently nudges it upright with the precision of a master chess player moving a piece across a board. The worker passing by shakes his head with a smile, noting that even a simple box can create tension and laughter. Meanwhile, nearby, a worker named Peter is constantly rolling out a temporary protective tarp over a section of freshly laid material. The tarp is large and somewhat irregular, holding an acrylic glaze that can be unpredictable. Peter pulls one edge, straightens it carefully, and begins walking backward, ensuring the tarp unfolds easily. For a few steps, everything proceeds smoothly. Then, a small gust of wind lifts one corner slightly. Peter stops, tilts his head, and performs a series of careful adjustments. Each movement is deliberate, measured, and almost poetic. Nearby workers watch silently, recognizing the subtle comedy and looking the stubborn pace of the material. After a few minutes, the tarp lies flat, perfectly positioned. Peter straightens his shoulders, surveys his work, and steps back with a quiet satisfaction as his work is over and he has to understand. Not far from him, a worker precise handling. Max adjusts, steps sideways, tilts, and even rotates his torso carefully, producing a slow, measured dance. A coworker, standing a few meters away, comments with a soft laugh, suggesting Max could enter an instruction battle competition. Max glances over his shoulder, grins faintly, and continues the intricate maneuver until the boards reach their destination safely. The movement is so meticulous that an observer could easily mistake it for performance art rather than routine labor. Meanwhile, the painter, Samuel, returns to his work with renewed focus. This time, he is painting temporary markers. Each stroke is deliberate, precise, and methodical. Yet as he lifts the brush to dip it again, a small droplet escapes, landing just outside the intended line. Samuel stops, tilts his head, and studies the droplet for a moment. Then, instead of removing it, he incorporates the droplet subtly into the line, creating a tiny flourish that looks intentional. Nearby workers notice the small detail, whispering soft chuckles to each other. Samuel glances around, satisfied that the droplet has become part of his miniature art, perfectly blending precision and mood. Across the site, another scene unfolds with two workers, Liam and Jordan, who are tasked with organizing a row of containers. Liam insists on spacing each container evenly, while Jordan focuses on aligning the labels perfectly. As they work side by side, minor mishaps occur. A container tilts, a label slides, a hand accidentally nudges another object, but instead of frustration, each small incident becomes part of a quiet conflict. Liam adjusts spacing, Jordan repositions a label, and together they complete the row. Once finished, they step back, exchange a satisfied nod, and share a small smile, acknowledging that teamwork and subtle humor are equally important on the site. A few meters away, Nathan wrestles with a bundle of harmless cables. The cables twist and loop unexpectedly, requiring patience and dexterity. Nathan carefully separates the loops, untangles them, and secures the ends. As he works, his colleagues offer playful advice, ranging from practical tips to exaggerated methods like singing to the cables or telling them to behave. Nathan laughs softly, appreciates the humor, and completes the task with care. The cables lie neatly in place, and the laughter lingers in the air, a subtle but meaningful reminder that even ordinary work can have moments of levity. Meanwhile, Felix returns with a ladder to assist in adjusting temporary signage. He navigates a narrow path once again, gently nudging corners and stepping carefully. At one point, he pauses, realizing a small shadow cast by a curb against the ladder in the middle. He adjusts slightly, steps back, and to a quiet approval. The process is deliberate, yet the patience and subtle tension create a humorous rhythm, watching, highlighting the small triumphs of ordinary day. As evening deepens, Aaron continues placing boundary markers along the path. He moves slowly, deliberate, aware that each placement matters. A slight breeze tips one marker gently. Aaron adjusts it carefully, glances back, and continues. His coworkers silently watch, appreciating the quiet drama of the movement, but otherwise be a routine task. Every gesture, every touch of vision, carries a hint of humor, a blend of diligence and the unexpected perks of life on the site. Even the most mundane moments, such as stacking crates, securing small objects, or adjusting tools, become opportunities for comedy. Workers interact with materials as though negotiating with them, responding to minor mishaps with a mix of patience, creativity, and subtle amusement. Each small incident adds to the collective tapestry of humor and camaraderie that defines the site. Right now, the golden ring light bathes the site in warm tones, emphasizing the beauty of ordinary work and the charm of gentle, unattended. Workers continue their tasks with quiet focus, laughter everywhere, each adjustment, each careful placement, each minor, harmless incident. The site has become a living stage, a place where humor and labor coexist seamlessly, creating a narrative Shadows lengthen, golden light softens edges, and even the most ordinary movements appear unusually charming under this glow. One of the more amusing sights unfolds with a worker named Victor. Victor is in charge of arranging a series of small buckets filled with harmless materials. He sets each bucket in a precise pattern, spacing them evenly as if designing a miniature cityscape. But as he places the final bucket, it tilts slightly, nudging the adjacent bucket. Victor freezes, raises an eyebrow, and studies the subtle shift. Then, with exaggerated care, he adjusts both buckets simultaneously, nods with satisfaction, and steps back. Nearby, co-workers glance over and quietly chuckle at the miniature drama that has just taken place. It is a gentle, humorous reminder that even inanimate objects can participate in comedy if approached with enough imagination. Not far from Victor, another scene develops with a worker named Wesley. Wesley is tasked with moving a bundle of rolled mats from one side of the site to the other. Each mat is lightweight yet awkwardly shaped, requiring careful handling. Wesley picks up the first roll with ease. The second roll, however, tilts unexpectedly as he lifts it. Wesley pauses, shifts his grip, and begins a slow, deliberate march across the site. The rolls wobble slightly with each step, creating a rhythm that is almost musical in its subtlety. A coworker nearby whispers, jokingly, that Wesley is performing a construction waltz. Wesley hears it, grins faintly, and continues, fully aware that every step, tilt, and adjustment adds a touch of humor to the otherwise ordinary task. Meanwhile, the painter, Samuel, returns to his small containers. He carefully dips his brush, transferring paint to a tiny marker. Everything is calm until a faint breeze disturbs the paint, creating a small but noticeable smear. Samuel pauses, studies it, and then decides the smear adds character. He steps back, glances around, and with a subtle grin, nods to himself. Nearby co-workers notice and quietly chuckle, appreciating Samuel's ability to turn a minor mishap into a deliberate flourish. It is a recurring theme on the site, ordinary tasks elevated into subtle moments of creativity and humor. Across the walkway, two workers, Liam and Jordan, are still meticulously aligning containers. Liam insists on maintaining perfect spacing, while Jordan ensures labels face precisely forward. A slight misalignment occurs when a container shifts to replacement. Both men freeze momentarily, then simultaneously adjust at exaggerated precision. Their coordinated movements result in silent notes, and a nearby worker observes, muttering under his breath his modern utility construction choreography. Liam and Jordan exchange a faint smile, silently acknowledging that small adjustments can have a performative quality. Nearby, Nathan wrestles once again with the appearance. The cables twist and loop unexpectedly, demanding careful untangling. Nathan handles each loop with patience, while co-workers offer playful suggestions ranging from logical advice to absurdly imaginative methods, such as sing the cables a lullaby or ask a question. Nathan laughs softly at the band, completes the entertainment, and carefully coils the band. The subtle humor of the interaction, combined with Nathan's deliberate technique, contributes to a gentle rhythmic level that exists across the site.
Felix, now assisting with temporary signage adjustments, navigates narrow passages once more. He rotates, steps carefully, and aligns signs with precision. At one point, a slight shadow casts uncertainty over the alignment. Felix pauses, adjusts subtly, and continues. Each movement is deliberate, yet the tension between precision and minor unpredictability, be it shadows, gusts of wind, or slight shifts in materials, creates a quiet, ongoing comedy that's both subtle and continuous. Aaron continues placing boundary markers along the path. Each marker requires careful positioning. A breeze tips one slightly, Aaron adjusts, steps back, and evaluates the placement. His co-workers observe silently, occasionally exchanging soft chuckles. Every careful gesture, every moment of observation, every adjustment is an understated performance of humor born from routine labor. The day has evolved into a gentle blend of diligence, improvisation, and shared amusement. Even routine stacking of crates, placement of tools, and adjustment of materials is imbued with subtle comedy. Workers respond to minor mishaps with patience, creativity, and understated laughter. Each small incident contributes to a collective narrative that transforms ordinary labor into a continuous display of ingenuity, teamwork, and humor. As the sun finally dips toward the horizon, bathing the sight in a warm golden orange hue, the workers' movements take on a cinematic quality. A worker lifting a crate, another adjusting a marker, a third carrying a bundle of cables. Each action appears both ordinary and humorous, a testament to human creativity and adaptability. Even without words, each gesture tells a story, blending diligence and subtle comedy seamlessly. The construction site, in this light, becomes more than a place of work. It becomes a living theater where labor, patience, and humor coexist naturally. As evening progresses, a subtle shift occurs across the site. The golden light softens edges, elongates shadows, and casts ordinary objects into shapes that seem almost playful. At this hour, the comedy on site becomes quieter, more situational, yet no less engaging. One particularly amusing moment involves a worker named Ian. Ian is tasked with carrying a bundle of lightweight pipes across a section of uneven ground. On paper, the task is simple, but the pipes have a tendency to sway slightly, reacting unpredictably to Ian's movements. He lifts the bundle, adjusts the top pipe with a slight twist, and begins his careful journey. Each step is deliberate, measured, and slightly exaggerated. Observing him, it seems less like carrying materials and more like performing a slow-motion balancing act. At one particularly tricky section, he pauses, shifts his weight carefully, and tilts the pipes with precision to navigate a small dip. When he finally reaches his destination, he lowers the bundle gently, as if completing a carefully rehearsed performance. Nearby workers grin quietly, recognizing the subtle comedy inherent in the situation. Meanwhile, across the site, a worker named Simon is organizing a set of small crates. Simon is known for his methodical approach. Today, however, one crate refuses to sit upright, wobbling slightly each time he sets it down. Simon tilts his head, studies the crate, and adjusts with patience bordering on theatrical. A co-worker passing by comments, jokingly, that the crate seems stubborn by nature. Simon simply smiles faintly, nods, and continues until the crate finally settles. The small interaction, though entirely ordinary, creates a ripple of quiet amusement among the nearby team. Not far from Simon, the painter, Samuel, is adding final touches to a series of temporary markers. Each brushstroke is deliberate. A small breeze disturbs one of the freshly painted sections, causing a minuscule drip to appear outside the intended line. Samuel observes, pauses, and decides the drip adds character. He adjusts his brush with subtle precision and continues painting, incorporating the drip into the design. Nearby co-workers notice the gesture, whispering soft laughter. Samuel's ability to turn an unexpected minor accident into a deliberate flourish demonstrates a recurring theme on the site, ordinary work infused with understated humor. Meanwhile, Liam and Jordan are still coordinating container placement. The careful alignment requires a sequence of small adjustments, as containers shift slightly during handling. Liam spaces, Jordan aligns labels, both responding to small misalignments with precise movements. The interaction resembles a silent, intricate dance, and the subtle humor arises from the exaggerated care given to otherwise mundane tasks. Observers note the coordinated effort, recognizing both the diligence and the humor present in such detailed work. Nathan, returning to his bundle of cables, untangles loops with patience and focus. His co-workers continue offering helpful suggestions, blending practicality with absurdity. Advice ranges from holding the bundle vertically to singing to the cables. Nathan laughs quietly, appreciating the humor, and completes the task successfully. The subtle comedy here arises from both the unpredictability of the cables and the workers' lighthearted engagement with one another. Felix, navigating narrow passages with silence, adjusts corners with care, occasionally stepping backwards to ensure precise alignment. The small tension between careful labor and minor unpredictability, shadows, slight gusts of wind, or shifting materials, creates a quiet comedy that threads throughout the site. Each movement, though ordinary, carries a touch of human adaptability and understated humor. Aaron continues positioning boundary markers. Each placement is deliberate, Even minor breezes that tip a marker are met with careful adjustments. Observing him, one realizes that subtle, repetitive tasks on the site are transformed into moments of quiet performance. Each gesture reflects both dedication and an implicit humor in negotiating with inanimate objects. Even simple stacking of crates, organizing tools, or adjusting materials becomes fertile ground for lighthearted comedy. Workers respond to minor mishaps with calm, patience, and subtle amusement, contributing to a larger narrative of camaraderie and understated humor that defines the environment. The evening light casts warm hues across the site, highlighting both human movement and the playful unpredictability of the work environment. Nearby, Victor arranges a series of small buckets in precise order. One wobbles unexpectedly, he pauses, adjusts with care, and steps back. The scene, trivial in itself, becomes quietly humorous as observers recognize the attention to minor detail as both earnest and comically exaggerated. Similarly, Wesley maneuvers a bundle of mats through uneven terrain. His careful, slow march, punctuated by minor adjustments, creates a subtle rhythm reminiscent of a choreographed performance. Even the simplest tasks, transporting ladders, securing cables, or repositioning markers, carry an undercurrent of humor as workers engage with minor unpredictabilities. Each individual performance, small in isolation, blends into a larger tableau of playful perseverance. Shadows stretch, the air cools slightly, and the golden light softens, creating a natural backdrop for the evening's quiet comedy. By now, the site's energy is a mixture of diligent work and gentle amusement. Every minor misstep, adjustment, and improvisation contributes to the shared experience. Workers smile softly at one another, occasionally exchange jokes, and continue tasks with careful precision. In this environment, labor and humor coexist naturally, each enhancing the other, transforming ordinary moments into a continuous series of subtle, interconnected performances. As the evening deepens, the construction site takes on a serene yet playful atmosphere. The golden glow from the setting sun blends with faint shadows, giving even ordinary objects an almost whimsical appearance. One of the more amusing moments involves a worker named Caleb. Caleb is moving a small cart filled with harmless materials across a slightly uneven path. The cart is sturdy, but the wheels are a little unpredictable. As Caleb guides it, one will veer slightly to the side, forcing him to adjust with a careful tilt of his body. He takes a few steps, nudges the cart gently, and repeats the process. Each minor wobble becomes a small dance, observed quietly by nearby co-workers who can't help but smile at the subtle comedy of man negotiating with inanimate objects. Finally, the cart reaches its destination, and Caleb lowers it gently, giving it a small, almost reverent pat, as if acknowledging the small victory over the mischievous wheel. Nearby, a worker named Dylan is tasked with setting up a row of temporary posts along the boundary of the site. Each post must stand upright and maintain even spacing. Dylan lifts the first post, plants it carefully, and steps back to inspect. The second post goes in smoothly, but the third tilts slightly in an unexpected direction. Dylan pauses, studies it critically, then adjusts the angle with a careful twist. A small breeze adds another variable, nudging the post slightly. Dylan steps back, tilts his head, and makes a minute correction. A co-worker walking by chuckles softly, noting that Dylan treats each post as though it has its own personality. Dylan notices the comment and smiles faintly, adjusting the post once more before moving on. The entire sequence, while entirely functional, carries the subtle humor born from the mixture of human patience and small, unpredictable challenges. Meanwhile, across the site, another quiet comedy unfolds involving a worker named Ethan, who is arranging a series of crates for storage. Ethan is known for his meticulous attention to detail. He stacks each crate carefully, lining them perfectly with the others. But the last crate wobbles slightly as he places it on top. Ethan freezes, examines it, then gently adjusts both the crate and the one below it. The wobble persists just a hesitation, creating a moment of silent tension that is both mundane and quietly humorous. After several deliberate adjustments, the stack stands firm. Ethan steps back, nods, and smiles at the small accomplishment, a subtle acknowledgement that even inanimate objects can provide gentle challenges. Nearby, the painter Samuel continues adding finishing touches to temporary markers. Each brushstroke is deliberate and precise, but minor disturbances, a small breeze or an accidental brush tip occasionally introduce unexpected variations. Samuel pauses, observes these tiny deviations, and incorporates them creatively into the design. His subtle adjustments are met with quiet chuckles from co-workers, appreciating how even a simple paint stroke can carry both function and a touch of whimsy. Across the site, Liam and Jordan continue coordinating container placement. The subtle shifts of containers during handling require careful, synchronized adjustments. Liam focuses on spacing, Jordan ensures labels face forward. When a slight misalignment occurs, both respond simultaneously with deliberate movements, creating the impression of a silent, choreographed performance. Observers exchange quiet smiles at the subtle humor in their exaggerated attention to otherwise ordinary tasks. Nathan wrestles once again with a bundle of cables. The loops twist and tangle unpredictably, requiring careful handling. His co-workers offer playful suggestions, ranging from logical strategies to imaginative, humorous methods, such as singing to the cables or coaxing them gently. Nathan smiles softly, appreciating the humor, and completes the untangling with steady, deliberate precision. Each subtle mishap and recovery adds to the gentle rhythm of humor across the site. Meanwhile, Felix navigates narrow passages with temporary signage. Minor obstacles, a shadow, slight gusts of wind, or equipment placement require careful adjustments. Each small maneuver is deliberate, yet the subtle tension between precision and minor unpredictability creates an understated comedy. Felix moves with patience, occasionally glancing around, aware of the gentle amusement these small interactions bring to his co-workers. Aaron continues placing boundary